Hey guys, Trip here, and welcome to a new series called Devil's Advocate, where I take an issue in the video game and entertainment industry and try to show it from a different perspective. I was scrolling through Reddit the other day, and came across a post that made me wonder, what the hell happened to horror games that let you defend yourself? I mean, don't get me wrong, games like Silent Hill, Shattered Memories, and Amnesia: The Dark Descent brought new life into the survival horror genre, which at the time was moving further away from its roots in favor of heart-pounding action and explosive set pieces. I'm looking at you, Resident Evil. It can be argued that this new generation of horror games provided a shock to the system that's since revitalized the genre, bringing forth all sorts of new, fun, and genuinely scary experiences. But has survival horror gone too far in this direction? When does an innovative idea become derivative? Does taking combat out of a horror game really make it scarier? Well, let's take a look. First things first, why remove combat in the first place? Well, that's a question with an obvious answer. Removing the ability to fight back makes you feel helpless in the face of an overwhelming opponent. It forces you, the player, to realize that you are at a disadvantage. You're not a gun-toting hero fighting back against hordes of demons. You're a regular person in a hopeless situation. But is there a downside to removing combat? Well, I would say yes. See, in horror games without combat, you're really only left with two options: run or hide. Now, the experience of running from an enemy can be thrilling, and hiding in a dingy locker while a xenomorph is hunting you can be a terrifying experience. But after a while, these games start to settle into a familiar pattern. For me, there's a sort of comfort in immediately knowing how to get past an opponent. After a while, I'm not panicking when I see Rorschachs chasing me. I immediately know that I have to run. Not only that, I immediately know that the game wants me to run, and that the level is designed to facilitate this action. Compare this to classic survival horror games like Silent Hill and the first few Resident Evils. When I see a creature or a zombie, I have to make a split-second decision. Do I run? Can I run? Am I expected to fight back? Do I have enough ammo to fight back? Am I willing to invest the time, health, and resources necessary to defeat this enemy? Or should I just turn tail and get the hell out of Dodge? Meanwhile, Pyramid Head is inching closer and closer, planning to get freaky with that great knife of his. See, it's that uncertainty, that confusion, that dissonance between what my instincts tell me and what the game is urging me to do that fuels horror. At least for me. Now you guys know that I don't do well with horror games as it is, so it may be surprising that I'm acting like these games aren't scary. It's not that I'm saying horror games without combat aren't scary, just not necessarily in the right way. If you notice, the main thing I'm afraid of when I'm playing an average horror game is being jump scared. A jump scare is a short, fleeting adrenaline rush that when used correctly can be very effective, but in my opinion, the scariest horror games are those that manage to maintain a sense of anxiety and unpleasantness over time. Now, some games without combat do this very well. Amnesia, for example, manages this with its unsettling story and oppressive atmosphere. However, this new reliance on not having combat is keeping us from finding new ways to create that sense of sustained horror. In some cases, it becomes a crutch used by games that don't know how else to be scary, instead of a tool used to enhance the experience of an already scary game. How else can you make a game scary, you ask? Well, first off, you have to put the survival back into survival horror. In its early days, survival horror was about, well, surviving. You had very few resources, and proper management of your ammo, health, and other items was absolutely necessary for your success. Some of the most horrifying moments in Resident Evil involved making snap decisions based on what you have and don't have, or desperately trying to survive after you ran out of ammo or healing items. This created a terrifying atmosphere where the player felt helpless and desperate, not because there was no way to fight back, but because you couldn't always run away. Sometimes you needed to fight back, but were out of ammo, or maybe you were an inch away from death and you were surrounded by zombies. This is the sort of stress and anxiety that created a naturally horrific environment without the need for arbitrary constraints. Some of the scariest experiences I've had in video games haven't been from horror games at all, but from games that require strict resource management in order to stay alive. I play a modded version of Fallout New Vegas where my character is a child, with extremely low strength and endurance to reflect that. I've also modded it to make the game much more punishing, where 1 or 2 shots from a gun will kill anyone, and ammo, food, and drink are much more scarce and important. The most horrifying experience I've ever had in a video game was when I was sneaking through a vault looking for food as a small child, trying to avoid psychotic, drugged up raiders who were going to kill me on sight, while trying to conserve ammunition and keep from starving to death. I could fight back at any time, but that in and of itself was a calculated, stressful decision. So my most horrifying horror experience was in an action RPG with a heavy emphasis on combat. How is that possible? Because there's more than one way to scare someone. Not every game needs to take away my weapons to give me that sense of dread. That feeling can come from running low on resources, forcing me to decide whether to fight or run, providing me with a dark, oppressive atmosphere, or making me contemplate my own existence and the nature of reality itself. So what does this all mean? I think that horror games should strive to find a balance between complete helplessness and, well... I think it's a bad decision to completely discount the value of combat in a horror game, just as it's a bad decision to focus entirely on action in a game that's supposed to be scary. In the end, I really hope to see the genre diversify itself by experimenting with different levels of self-defense and helplessness. Hopefully, horror games will keep evolving, because at the end of the day, there's countless ways to scare the shit out of us. Why limit yourself to just one? But hey, that's just my opinion.